Hello, hello, hello. Welcome in, everyone. Excited to have you back with us. Kendall Valenzuela, Amanda, aka Cooterdoodle, to all of you, to the show that is so good that it cannot be named. Amanda, I feel like that's now it's getting to a point, though, where I feel like it's getting too long, and now we have to find a name. I think that's where we're at right now.
I don't know. I like committing to the bit here. I think we're just going to wait until we get the perfect name and maybe it never comes, you know?
Well, I think I have to say though, because this happened after our last show. So I suggested that the show be named The Amanda Show with Kendall because you are an FSWA award winner. And so I feel like I just have to take the time right now. Like, everyone clap. If you're in your car, wherever you're listening to this, just clap for Amanda right now because you did win an FSWA award. So I did want to bring that up before we started. So today I think it's called The Amanda Show featuring, like, with Kendall, off to the side.
Okay.
Because that was amazing. Congratulations.
For today, I'll allow it. Thank you very much.
I love it. I love it. And you're back from Mardi Gras, so, we're going to have some fun things to do. But just really quickly, how was it? I had so much FOMO. I was jealous, and I just thought about you the whole weekend.
It was great, and I cannot wait to take a nap after this.
It's still lingering all the way into Thursday. Like, is it more fun on the weekends or is it more fun because it's on usually a Tuesday, right? Tuesday is the
Fat
day.
Tuesday.
Yeah. So is it more fun on the weekend or on the Fat Tuesday?
Oh, it's all fun. We'll get you down here. I
Okay.
promise. It's all fun.
Okay, everyone hear that? We're going to hold her to it. So you will find us next year. The Unnamed Show with Amanda and Kendall will be live from New Orleans for Mardi Gras. I absolutely love that. Well, as always, everyone, this show, we've got a great one planned out for you today. We've got 4 quarters and an overtime. We will hear the buzzer. We will try, just like the Oscars, to get off as soon as possible. But sometimes we just like to talk. So maybe we won't. So let's get started here, Amanda, with the first quarter. Did you hear? So the first one, I feel like it has to be, Amanda, did you hear? And I think everyone in the entire world heard this, that T. Higgins was hit with another franchise tag. So it's the second straight year. The Bengals announced this just a couple days ago. But Amanda, they also did say, here was the quote, with the intent of continuing to work toward a long-term deal in Cincinnati with T. Higgins. So what were your original thoughts when this news broke?
He's just coming off of like a 900-yard, 10-touchdown season, second year in a row getting tagged. And I just feel like everybody kind of felt the same way. We were rooting for him to get this long-term deal. Doesn't mean it's not going to happen at this point. Maybe the Bengals are just trying to use the tag for the purpose that it's meant for, right? They're trying to hold on to him and get that deal done. But it does make me nervous. And I wanted to read this to you, Kendall. The Bengals GM said, I think T. Higgins is a fantastic football player and I want him on my team, right? That sounds great.
Okay.
He said, our preference with T is to do a long-term agreement, always has been and continues to be, and we'll work hard to get that done. And so on paper, that sounds wonderful. I'm thrilled. But then when it's the second year in a row that he's getting tagged, I'm like, how many times can you throw this out there and it be true, right? Are you really trying? So I feel bad for T. I really do. I think even Amon-Ra said on a podcast that it should be illegal to be tagged twice in a row. So what are your thoughts on this?
Oh, I hate it. I still think T. Higgins is going to go somewhere else, like a tag and trade situation, because it's not good. The franchise tag, especially twice now, is not good all around. You don't want to see it. And unfortunately with Cincinnati, we have a history with them where they don't like to pay players, and they still have to get a deal done with Ja'Marr Chase. So I think this is also interesting because Ja'Marr Chase, like I just said, he still needs his extension, right? So you have to get that deal done. So you could extend T. Higgins on the tag before the July 15th deadline, and then he's going to be happy. But then you run the risk of Ja'Marr Chase not being happy because of that. Then you turn it around and you say, okay, well, we need to sign Chase to a big extension. And then T. Higgins has been tagged twice and then he's unhappy. So they're I think in a bit of a predicament. And my guess still, because I think we've talked about this before, is that T. Higgins will not be on the Cincinnati Bengals in 2025. And I don't know if that means another team. I still am sticking with the Patriots, even though there have been rumors, Amanda, that the Patriots are out on T. Higgins, but they have nearly $130 million of cap space. They have a ton of money to work with. They've got a quarterback on a rookie contract, and they need more weapons. So I think at the end of the day, that the tag is not good news, is never good news for any player. And so I think the Bengals are going to get, this offer from another team that they can't necessarily give up. And so then T. Higgins is on the move. You give Jamar Chase his extension, and then Bengals fans are ultimately unhappy. But that's my prediction, I think.
Right. And look, you say weapon. In the last 5 seasons, I think 4 out of 5, he had 900 plus yards. And then every time that Cincinnati has played, at least in 2024, they played 5 games without T. Higgins and lost 4 of those 5. So, I mean, he's obviously a weapon. Whatever team he ends up on, I would like to see him stay in Cincinnati, but I think you're right. There's so many dominoes that need to fall perfectly for that to happen and everyone be happy. Very complicated. I hope he gets what he wants and gets paid.
I do too.
I really do.
I do too. Yeah, I'm with you.
All right, Kendall. So let's move on to another wide receiver.
All right, let's do it.
Did you hear that Christian Kirk was released by the Jaguars?
This section on Christian Kirk was tragically filmed 45 minutes before news broke of him going to the Texans. For entertainment purposes, here's 5 minutes of outdated speculation on Christian Kirk and his potential landing spots.
Right?
Yes.
After playing only 8 games last year and only 11 in 2023, are you blaming the Jags? Because I'm really not. I'm not.
No, Christian Kirk. I'm so sorry, Christian Kirk. It is you. It is not us. Like, straight up. I'm going to be honest. Do you remember like that deal, 4 years, $72 million deal that was 2022? And I remember when we saw that and it was just like, wait, what? Who? For Christian Kirk? And again, no offense, Christian Kirk, but it has not been good. Like, he had a stellar season after that, but then he's missed 14 games. Like, we have to look at, the list over the past 2 years because he's had the abdominal ab injury. I'm just going to go with ab injury, broken collarbone. He didn't finish very well. And his cap hit, I think we could have seen this coming a little bit. I know I did a podcast with Dwayne earlier this month and in February, and he was someone that could have been a surprise cut. But when you look at the cap hit that he had, it was a significant amount of money. So now, they're saving $10.7 million against the cap with this release, and he was going to have the highest cap number hit in 2025 for the Jags at $24.4 million. So it kind of made sense. And then Amanda, like, I don't know, for the skill set and what you paid him, he hasn't been very good. We can talk about Brian Thomas Jr. and how his stock is just, for me, just trending way, way up. And they obviously need to get maybe one more weapon in there, to help Trevor Lawrence. But his career numbers for target share, yards per route run, they all align with like wide receiver 3 kind of levels instead of that wide receiver 1 that they paid him for. So I do not, I'm not super shocked that the Jaguars did this. And depending on where he lands, I'm curious for you, like if he lands somewhere, do you think he's going to be fantasy relevant for us, or are you kind of just staying off of him?
So just to go back to Brian Thomas really quickly, it's hard, like we said, It's hard to ignore that fact. So of course, with the cap hit and everything, Kirk's going to be out. You hope that he could get healthy here. It's like not his fault that he's had all these games missed, but where is he going to end up? How are they going to use him? Where I think it would be the best chance is, I don't know. Seahawks need a wide receiver. What do you think, Kendall?
Oh, God, I don't know. Stop. Don't do this to me. I'm still in mourning. I should have worn all black. Like, I'm not excited about Christian Kirk yet. And maybe my feelings can change, but I really do think we have to look at him more as that wide receiver 3, just because of his numbers. I'll give you some more. He only has 20% plus target share to his name throughout his whole career. One season he has that. And then he's broken 2 yards per route run only once. So there's all these things, and shout out to Dwayne McFarland for some of those stats there. But there's some of these things where his skill set is good, but depending on the price tag and everything in our underdog drafts or wherever we're drafting, and depending on where he lands, like, I just might be off of him. I was thinking, Patriots need one, Rams might need some as well. I don't know. Christian Kirk doesn't excite me as much.
Right. And then I saw that NFL.com had ranked all the 101 free agents, and Kirk was 47th on the list, which feels about right, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Stephon Diggs was ranked 27th out of all free agents, which was the 4th wide receiver in free agency. So when you think of it from that perspective, I mean, maybe 47 is a little too high for Kirk at that point, but we have a lot of old guys in free agency too. But yeah, I don't know. Am I drafting him? Probably not. But I hope that he can find a place where he can show off what he did that one season where he looked great and got his
Yeah.
paycheck, you know?
Yeah. But Brian Thomas Jr., we're drafting like a ton.
Oh.
Like Brian Thomas Jr. to the moon. Before
Yeah.
I have some of his stats for after. So this is with Christian Kirk and Evan Ingram's injury. If people remember, they were both kind of out at the same time last season. But he had a 29% target share, 40% air yard share, and an 8.3 utilization score, which everyone can go and check out at fantasylife.com, and then 17.6 fantasy points per game. So it's just, I know they're going to add to this room, Amanda, but like, give me all the Brian Thomas Jr. shares that I can get next year.
Yep. Now look, real quick, what if the Jags get Chris Godwin? Then what?
I'm still gonna want him. Yeah, I think Chris. I'm really hoping that the Buccaneers don't mess this up, and that I just feels. It would just feel so wrong for Chris Godwin to go anywhere else. And he was on track to have like such a huge season last year. So I'm hoping that they've seen Brian Thomas Jr. and they see what happened last season and they know he can be that alpha wide receiver one, right?
Mm-hmm. We know.
Yeah.
The fantasy community, we know. We're drafting
We're
that way.
We're way ahead of it. So let's hope that he's able to do that. All right. Did you hear Davante, speaking of wide receivers that everyone might want, but maybe they will, Davante Adams was released so now from the Jets. So now he is going to be going elsewhere. I don't know, Amanda, if that means that he's following his best friend, Aaron Rodgers, to a new team, or if they're going to part ways. But I don't know, could you see yourself drafting Davante Adams this season?
You know, I actually think I can, which is the weirdest part of it. Like at first I didn't think so. I'm like, okay, he's going to follow Rodgers. Where are they going to end up? And part of me started to get a little defensive. Like I could feel myself just clenching my chair because I was like, if they both end up on the Giants, what happens to Malik Neighbors, right? Is Rodgers going to like just pepper Adams with all those targets? But I'm sure it'll be fine. I'll take a deep breath. But I really do think he's not washed yet. Even Ian Hartitz of Fantasy Life said, sound the alarms. He's not washed. Only Jamar Chase and Brian Thomas scored more PPR points than Adams during the final 6 weeks of 2024. So if we can see that player on the field, then yeah, I don't mind it. Especially, I'm sure he's going to come at a very low ADP. But he is one of those free agents right now that he's at the top of the list, right? Because he's not washed, because he had 1,000+ yards and 8 touchdowns with the Jets last season, even though he still had a slow start, right? And so when you think of it from that perspective, I don't know, is he going to stay with Rodgers if he gets a deal that he can't pass up that isn't with Rodgers? I would be very curious to see. And then I really want to know how Rodgers is going to take that. Is he going to go pout in a room in the dark for a month? You know what I mean?
I was gonna say this. It reminds me of like when someone's going out and then you're just like, oh, I'm gonna bring my my friend or significant other, and you're like, oh, I just wanted it to be just us, like so we could hang out. That's how I feel with Davante Adams. I'm like, but I will say, like to your point, he did not look bad towards the end of the season once he went to the Jets. Like that was, oh God, we're getting booed off. No, it's fine, but it's like the Oscars. But he was not bad. Like, and the other part of it was that he was peppered with targets from Aaron Rodgers. So that was the thing for him, was he was peppered with targets. He was targeted 112 times, which was the third highest in the NFL. So that was big for him, but he still came away 30% target share, 2.07 yards per route run. And, he's going to be 32, but I just feel like even with his age, and we talk about the age cliff a lot, I might be interested in him too. And I was fully off of him last year. I did not want any piece of him with the Las Vegas Raiders. And then when he was moved, I said, well, now I'm a little bit nervous. And it turned out to be okay. But depending on where he goes, especially depending on his price, I might be, I don't know, Amanda, I might be in on him too. But we'll have to see where's your favorite landing spot for him for fantasy?
Honestly, at this point, I think I do want him with Rodgers just to know that they have the connection. Okay. Then I think I'm more comfy regardless of where it is. But I do have to say, speaking of prices, real quickly before they kick us off to the next quarter, Saquon Barkley, did you hear that price that he got on his contract? $41.2 million.
I heard that's our new contract. That's what I've heard. Just rumblings. So that's what we're going to get for this show.
$20+ million a year. Oh, we're double kicked off.
Wow,
okay,
really
congrats, Barkley.
All right, yeah, congrats, Saquon. We absolutely love that for you. So let's go over new quarter, next quarter, second quarter. Amanda,
state of the team, Kendall.
State of the team.
Spotlight.
And funny enough, when we were doing this rundown, I had put the Seahawks in here before all hell broke loose. So
I saw that.
I'm depressed. I'm sad. I know I can't swear on this show because I already asked our producer if I could, and he said no. But if I could, I'd be like, what the F is going on? So Tyler, yesterday, because Tyler Lockett, here's the thing. We weren't going to be surprised with the Tyler Lockett release because on the contract that he was on, he was going to count so much against the cap. I think it was $30.8 million against the cap. He was set to get paid $17 million as well. So there was really no chance that Tyler Lockett was going to have an 11th season with the Seahawks. But then, Amanda, my heart was ripped out of my chest. And like almost to overshadow Tyler Lockett's announcement and his release, DK Metcalf comes out and he goes, oh, you know what? I'm going to make your life a little bit worse, Seahawks fans. And I'm actually going to request a trade. And I just like crumbled and I was sad. And here we are. And I'm in my Seahawks hat to make myself feel a little bit better, but it doesn't feel great, Amanda. I have to say that.
I do have to know because it did come, I think it was within like an hour, right, of the news breaking that DK also was like, oh, also I want to win, bye. But Mina Kimes said that she like fell to her knees in a CVS. And I need the visual. Where were you when you found out about DK, right? And where did you fall to your knees?
I was right here. And I remember I literally looked at my phone and I was just like, what? And I can't swear. No. Oh my gosh. Matthew Swing, please let me swear. But I was just like, what the hell is going on? And it flashed before my eyes, the greatness of the Seahawks that once was and what we had and, going to the, back-to-back Super Bowls, winning one of them, should have won two, but that's fine. We don't have to talk about it. I was so sad because to me, when we look at the state of the Seahawks, Tyler Lockett, okay, he was always going to be on the move and we love Tyler Lockett for Seattle, but for fantasy football, he wasn't doing much for us. Now, DK Metcalf, you bring in Clint Kubiak, and I thought to myself, this is going to be great. DK Metcalf and JSN are going to be able to complement each other because I feel like they haven't been able to like be complements of one another, like just the coaching and the offensive coordinators that we've gone through. I'm looking at you, Shane Waldron, like it just hasn't been good and they haven't really gotten the most out of what they could with those two players. So when JSN had his breakout last season, it's like, okay, this is great. Now Tyler Lockett's on the move. Maybe they go into the draft and get someone in here. But with DK Metcalf, here's the thing. And even though I'm a Seahawks fan, I will say this, Amanda, they don't have to trade him. Right. There's nothing, it was a request. We've seen a lot of requests throughout the years. I mean, just last season, we had a couple and it was Brandon Ayuk requesting a trade. And then it's just like, it doesn't have to go through. They're able to re-sign him. So depending on what a new deal could look like, I think that they could get something done. But where I worry now is that if DK Metcalf really wants to go somewhere else and the Seahawks, want to keep him, if that relationship gets toxic, then they are going to move on from him because they don't want to have that. And so it comes to an interesting point where now you're losing Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. So I guess, for us fantasy football, JSN to the moon. But for DK, whatever kind of deal he's looking at, I've heard that, he wants a new deal worth $30 million annually.
$30 million.
I'm hearing $30 million is crazy, but it's fine. Diana Rossini reported that the Seahawks want a first and a third, which I don't know if they're going to get for DK Metcalf. So all around a mess, and I'm really sad. And everyone listening should check in on their Seahawks friends because it's just brutal. It's brutal.
And I mean, 30 million, look, I guess you should all advocate for yourselves as much as DK advocates for himself, but that's Tyreek Hill money. That's Amon-Ra St. Brown money, right? Like that's a lot of money there. And so you have to wonder, are they playing chicken? Is he trying to get more money out of the Seahawks? Is he trying, like you said, to stay there but get something done? But at the same time, if that was really the play, why would you say that you want to go to a team that is going to win? That to me felt like the last twist of the knife where he's like, I really kind of want to stick it, get me out of here. This isn't pleasantries. I'm not just saying I want out. And so that made me a little nervous for him. But at the same time, thinking about him on the Chargers kind of excites me a little bit, right? No,
stop. No, I'm sad. Yes, it hurts me and I'm sad and I hope it doesn't happen. But I will say, if I was looking at it, so I like the Chargers because I liked the Chargers for Davante, but I was also thinking DK Metcalf with the Green Bay Packers kind of intrigued me a little bit with Jordan Love over there, even though DK, because I know you're a huge fan of the show and you're not going to go anywhere. So this really is all hypothetical and it's not going to happen. But, here's the other thing, Amanda, because I had to dig deep down and push my bias aside. But for fantasy football, and Dwayne brought this up with me a couple weeks ago, but he was like, how do we rank DK Metcalf? Top 12, top 24? Because right now it's probably top 24, maybe even outside of people's 24 best receivers right now, because he's had a 22% target share only twice in his career. And then he's been we know against man coverage, he's always going to be great. He's a monster. But then in the mix versus zone, he's not very good. And so he's going to be 27 years old. So I do think he's closer to the 24 than he is a top 12 for fantasy football purposes receiver right now.
But Packers, that is exciting.
I know,
Maybe if he wants a team that can win, he just has to go out there and be like, you know what? I do hate the tush push. Get me out there, Green Bay. Just start saying all the phrases that he knows the coaches are going to love. Oh, that's easy enough.
And he might be frustrated. Listen, the Geno Smith thing might be something that he's also like, maybe he just thinks this, well, he obviously thinks the Seahawks can't win, but I don't know, Amanda, if the Seahawks don't get Geno Smith a potential extension, I wouldn't be shocked by that, I guess. And I know that that'll rub some people the wrong way. And I've been the same person where I've just said, well, we can't win with Geno Smith. And while I do stand by, you can't win a Super Bowl, in my opinion, with Geno Smith. He's taken him far enough where there might not be better options right now, especially in the draft. Cam Ward, Shador Sanders, the top two. And then free agency, it really feels like more Band-Aids than long-term answers. No offense, Sam Darnold. I'm sorry. Just had to throw that one out there. But, I could see them getting him a new an extension, nothing crazy, nothing crazy, I hope, and just kind of keeping him here for a little bit longer. So that might be something that DK's looking at and being like, I don't want to be a part of this.
It could be. Yeah. Maybe he just wants to get out early. I don't know. But then going back to Tyler Lockett, where do you see him ending up? Do you think the whole rumors with a Raiders reunion of Pete Carroll and maybe Russell Wilson, does that feel right? Does that kind of make you a little nauseous on the inside?
No, wherever, you know what, Tyler Lockett's so different for me, where I'm like, wherever Tyler Lockett wants to go and be happy, go do that. You've been amazing for us. It's so funny because now all the Seahawks are linked to the Raiders. They're like, let's get DK, Tyler Lockett and Russell Wilson and give him to Pete Carroll and see what happens. But I wouldn't mind Tyler Lockett going over there with the Raiders. I didn't have any other teams either that kind of excited me, because I think, Amanda, what we saw last season and kind of the decline that we saw in a lot of his stats and everything, it was coming, but then it came like full speed ahead in 2024. So I don't know. I usually draft him every single year because I think he's undervalued. And now this season, I don't know if I can go there anymore, unfortunately.
Yeah. And you're not lying. The decline, I was looking this morning, it was like bad. 12,000 yards. 1,000 yards, 800 yards, 600 yards, it just it's a straight trajectory down. But look, what if Russell Wilson can do for Tyler Lockett like Aaron Rodgers did for Davante Adams? I mean, who knows, right? Who knows? Maybe a little resurgence.
You know what? I'm hoping for that. I don't think so, but it's totally fine. He's kind of old, like for a receiver.
He's 32.
He's kind of old. No offense, Tyler. Again, a huge fan of the show, I'm sure. Yeah, 32 years old. And just this season, it was season lows for him in the receiving yards, like you said, and in the touchdowns. I believe he only came away with 2. So I don't know. I'm not excited about it, but. Yeah, literally, we can talk JSN because this is okay. Don't you feel bad for him though? Because he was tweeting through it yesterday. He was like, I don't know if you saw that tweet from him, but he literally was just like, wait, what's going on? Why is this happening? Why is this happening? Because like all of a sudden you lose Tyler Lockett, you lose DK Metcalf. But for you and for all of us, really, JSN, again, it feels like the conversation we just had with Brian Thomas Jr. But if DK Metcalf really is going to be on the move, they have to bring other people into that wide receiver room. But that feels like JSN to the moon.
Right. And he's kind of now that like I accidentally became important at work meme. Like he's the walking version of that. Just one day you're the wide receiver 3. Next thing you know, it's like, oh, okay, I'm the guy here. All right, let's go. And look, he had a wonderful season. I think he was 7th in the league in yards per route run, 100 catches for over 1,000 yards and 6 touchdowns. He absolutely can be that guy. But then like you're saying, what are they doing with Geno Smith? Who are they going to bring in to be some weapons alongside JSN? So I'm glad, speaking as a Saints fan, I'm glad I'm not a Seahawks fan at this point, just because at least we have a few less question marks on our roster. So
sorry, give me Bub Means. Give me Rashid Shaheed. Maybe that's the answer here. But yeah, Yeah, at least I can't even actually say there's a silver lining in this for me because it just will make me sad. But JSN, yeah, he had 7 games with at least 18.3 PPR points per game, so that was good. It was 3 in a row from weeks 14 to 16, I believe, as well. So we really did see the flash, and I think the level of production, if DK Metcalf, I hear ya, if DK Metcalf though is truly gone, like, I don't know how far he's going to rise up drafts, but he's going to be way up there because I still do think that this offense is one that I will want a piece of. But now all our pieces are gone, Amanda, so it doesn't even matter. So I hope you get JSN. Yeah. It's JSN or nothing, or Kenneth Walker. And that's
good luck.
Yeah, that's fine. Zach Charbonnet, oh my gosh, I don't know. I might go cry later. I'm unsure.
We don't have to talk about it any longer.
Right, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. Thank goodness. This is the first segment where I'm like, okay, the clock ran out, so we just have to keep going. But okay, let's talk about fun things. Things that I was jealous of you last week because it really was Mardi Gras. And so I do just your experience, because if anyone doesn't know listening, you are born and raised in Louisiana. So it's just you've always been around that. You said you've always gone to Mardi Gras. So really, how was it last week? Was it so much fun?
Oh, it was incredible. Tons of floats. The closer you get into New Orleans, the more intricate the floats become. They're no longer just these double-decker, wooden pieces. They're decorated with all kinds of stuff, thematic. It's crazy. But yeah, the whole thing, if you've never been to one of these, which we're going to kind of make this quarter about, is we're going to be in a Mardi Gras parade today, Kendall. Because what happens is when you stand there, you're screaming, "Throw me something, mister," the whole time. And you're hoping that somebody can just pelt some beads at you. You don't get hit in the face, right? But the funny thing is sometimes there's some beads you just don't want. They're broken. They touch the ground. They're dirty now, right? And so for this segment, I thought what we could do is throw me something, Mr. Barry, based on Matthew Berry's 25 most interesting things heard at the Combine. So I'm going to throw some of the rumors that he has admittedly said are all gossip, rumors, and reasonably informed speculation. This is quote unquote not news, but some have already come true. So I'm leaning really hard in the direction of I do believe these, but let's see what you think here. Okay. First, let me grab a couple of
yeah, I was gonna say, so mine are if you're just listening, here's the difference. Here's what mine sound like, and sorry to everyone just listening to this. They're like little and fun and fine, but Amanda, yours are incredible.
I got those good
again
beads.
Jealous. Yeah. I'm jealous again. Yours are awesome, so that's fine.
Yeah, so ASMR for our listeners, got a couple beads you'll hear throughout. But here's the deal, Kendall. I'm going to throw you the rumor, okay? And you have to decide, are you going to catch it? Is this a bead that you want? Or are we just going to let it fall to the ground and let the street sweepers clean it up at 6 a.m. tomorrow, okay?
I love it. All right, let's do it.
Rumor number 1, Aaron Rodgers, not washed. He has plenty of options, okay? And here's what Barry had to say. He's been told that Rodgers is now looking at 3 options, and the likeliness starts at the top here with the New York Giants, then Tennessee Titans, or third, stay in shape and just wait for an injury. See what winning team needs him halfway through the season, right? What do you think? You think everybody's chomping at the bit for Rodgers here?
I'm gonna do this, and our producers, I swear, but I'm gonna throw this. Okay, so I'm throwing that beat, and I'm letting it hit the ground, Amanda, because I don't want any part of this.
With it.
Listen, I'm done with it. And here's the thing. I do believe Aaron Rodgers will play for a team in 2025, but I don't know, the rumor that everyone now wants him and he's ready to go for just the baggage that he brings alone and the drama. I don't know if I can get behind that. So I did let that hit the floor and I did not hit my camera. So I just wanted to shout that out as well. But I really do see him playing for a team in 2025. But yeah, probably I've heard the Titans, I've heard the Giants, which I just don't believe that one, but I do think he plays somewhere in 2025. What about you?
Yeah, he's got to, right? He threw for almost 4,000 yards. He threw 28 touchdowns. I mean, he's got to play somewhere, but I think it's like you said, who's willing to take on the baggage and let him kind of kick them around a bit and make his demands, right? So I don't know.
Love it.
I like it. Okay. Rumor number 2, we're going to stick with quarterbacks here. This one's even weirder, that Sam Darnold's future is like just up in the air. Barry said here that the Sam Darnold stuff that he heard at the combine is very odd, that the Vikings want JJ McCarthy to start this year. We know that they didn't tag Sam Darnold, and he thinks that there's 100% chance that there's a scenario where Sam Darnold doesn't have a starting job next year. Like, what are we talking about? This guy threw for 4,300 yards and 35 touchdowns. Sure, he had a few bad games, but do you think it's possible that he just doesn't land anywhere?
Okay, I've got my beads here, and I'm actually I'm going to catch these ones, and I'm gonna put them on because I don't I'm going to put this one on because I don't know if not that I don't believe Mr. Matthew Berry here, but I do think that a team is going to want Sam Darnold, even though listen, he was so bad in the postseason. It just wasn't good, and that really that probably when they were watching that and when Kevin O'Connell was watching that, he was like, okay, this cannot be our guy, because he obviously crumbled during the brightest of lights. He just went down. But I do still think a team is going to want him because this quarterback market for free agents isn't very good, and the draft is not very good either. So to me, Sam Darnold, I've been saying this all offseason, I think that he goes to the Las Vegas Raiders because it just kind of makes a little bit of sense. He had a big 2024, and I know some people will look at the postseason and say, yeah, well, he crumbled there, and that you're not wrong. But I just think because of the quarterback market, we were just talking about Aaron Rodgers having people want him. I mean, if people want Aaron Rodgers, we have to, I have to believe that Sam Darnold is going to be wanted somewhere. And so I think he's going to be playing for a team in 2025, and I think it's going to be the Raiders.
So should the Raiders just sign Darnold, get to the playoffs, and then swap him out?
Yeah.
Right when right?
Yeah,
just
absolutely.
Don't let him get to the point.
Exactly. I think they let go of Gardner Minshew the other day, so it would be Aiden O'Connell. But they're kind of in this, they're in this weird quarterback situation too. So a bridge quarterback is Sam Darnold. Depending on how much he could get somewhere else, I could also see a team like overpaying for Sam Darnold. But I'm with you. Yeah, they just pull him out during the playoffs and say thank you so much for getting us here. We're done with you now. It's fine.
All right. Well, we're going with it. Let's move to another quarterback, another rumor. We know that Pittsburgh was between two quarterbacks all last year, but this year, Barry's hearing that the Steelers are going to keep Justin Fields. It's their guy. He's a better fit for what they want offensively, and that the coaching staff definitely likes Fields more than Wilson. And you know what? That line right there is where I'm hooked. I'm all in. I'm getting the bead. I'm all in.
Yes. You know what? oh my God, yours sounds so much cooler than mine. See, I go just like this, and then yours are like, oh, I'm with you though. I'm putting a bead on for this one as well, because I just want Justin Fields to be given a chance. If we're going to be total, and this is way more fantasy focused than anything else, but we know that he has the rushing upside that we absolutely love. And so when you look at it, I mean, Fields, he had his highest career passer rating, 93.3, during his time with the Steelers last season. And then in the games that he did play, he was locking down 18.9 fantasy points per game in 2024. So all of those signs for me as someone that loves fantasy football, I'm like, yes, give him a chance. And if the Steelers are going to do that, then I'm with them. I like Justin Fields but they have to commit to this, Amanda. Yes. They can't do what they did with Russ and be like, well, we're winning, but we're also just going to turn to Russell Wilson now. Like some team, whoever, if it's the Steelers or if it's someone else, they need to give him a full chance to be able to showcase his skills and see if he really is the guy for them, instead of just going like a few games and then switching him out.
Right, because he wasn't terrible when he was starting, and I understand that they always said Wilson was going to be the guy, so I get why they did it, but you're right. Fresh page, go straight in, Fields be the guy 100%, and then let Wilson go off and play, I don't know, maybe with the Raiders and Pete Carroll. We'll figure that out later. But yeah, I'm all in on Justin Fields.
I like him. I like Justin Fields. If we had to just say another landing spot, I do like him for the Jets too. I do not hate him going to the Jets, but yeah, I'm with you. If you have another landing spot, I'm just curious, but I do like him with going to the Jets if the Steelers aren't able to get anything done with him.
Yeah, sure. That's fine. I mean, he's not terrible. He'll be fantasy manageable. It'll be fine. I'm not worried about it as long as it's not the Saints.
I like it.
All right. Next rumor here. Catch it or drop it. Stefon Diggs won't return to the Texans. So here's Barry's quote from his article, 25 Things He Heard at the Combine. Stefon Diggs may not return to the Texans. They want him. They like him. But talking with a source, with his injury, being 30 years old, there actually is still a big market out there for Diggs. So it's 50-50 right now is how he's feeling with Diggs back in Houston, because there actually is a big market. And look, we were talking about free agents earlier. There is a plethora of wide receiver free agents, but outside of Davante Adams, Stephon Diggs, and maybe Chris Godwin, it starts to have a cliff. It falls off, right? And we know that the draft class this year just isn't the same as last year. We had Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas and Marvin Harrison Jr. It's just not the same. So that's kind of elevating Diggs' stock here. What do you think? Texan?
Okay, I've got my beads, and I'm gonna try and throw them and not hit the camera. There we go. I did it, and I'm gonna let him fall to the ground because I want him to stay selfishly with the Houston Texans. Like I think it would be a little bit of a mistake unless the team knows something about his recovery and it's just, gonna be a little bit far off. And we know players, especially when they get older, it's a lot tougher to come back and be the guy that he once was. So I'm not saying that we're gonna get the Stephon Diggs of old. I think that's, as Ian Hartitz always writes, in the rearview mirror for Stephon Diggs. But I think that what we saw with him and the connection that he had with CJ Stroud for the games that he was able to play with the Texans, it was actually a pretty good showing. And then he unfortunately went down with his injury. But to me, the Texans, they still need a lot of help. So if you already have someone that you could re-sign that knows the playbook, that has some kind of relationship with CJ Stroud, who, again, he was not good last season. So you could make CJ Stroud's life a little bit easier and just keep that chemistry going. But Tank Dell, he had such a bad injury with it was the MCL, the LCL, and the ACL. So to expect him to come back next season probably isn't going to happen. And if it does, it's going to be way, way, way later in the season. So now you're only looking at Nico Collins. And so to me, I think bring Stephon Diggs back because he knows the playbook, he knows the organization. But if he can get better money somewhere else, then I'll be it. Go ahead.
Yep. I'm in. Okay. Last thing before we get kicked off. Bucky Irving, alpha running back 1. All in or all out?
Yes. Oh, all in. I'll put I only have 2 beads left, and they're just small and sad, but I'm going to put both of them on because yes, who's not drafting Bucky Irving as not the RB1 for fantasy football, but just as the alpha guy. I'm so excited to be. Now he's going to be expensive, which kind of stinks because last season you could get him such a discount. But yes, Amanda, it's his, yes. Bucky
and knowing
Irving
that the
season.
Bucks are just raving about him at the scouting combine, and that's one of Barry's, little insider trading secrets. I'm all in on Bucky Irving. Let's do it. Lock it in.
I love Bucky Irving. Those were good. Look at us. This was so fun. See, now I really do have to. I have to join you next year because this is way too fun. We'll just do this on the road, and it's totally fine. We'll do it at your house, and that's how it'll go. Welcome. All right, there we go. Before we continue on here, let's hear from our friends over at Bud Light.
Hey, you know you're not actually allowed to drink in a beer commercial?
Since when?
You gotta wait till it's done. Oh.
5,
4, 3, 2, 1.
All right, now let's continue on here. We're going into our fourth quarter, which always surprises me, Amanda, because I guess that's what happens when you have fun, and that's what we're doing here. So with the theme of Mardi Gras, we decided, what players might we be giving up for Lent? And so I'm excited to hear who you have. You can go first. I'm excited to see what player. Oh, no, don't say it. Who is it?
I have to say it. So if whoever watched last week, we know that you were talking up Kyler Murray. But look, I have to give him up. And it's for some of the reasons that I stated last week. I just cannot deal with all the lows. And as much as you almost convinced me, Kendall, you really almost did. We were talking up Marvin Harrison Jr., who surprisingly, even though I'm giving up Kyler Murray, I am very much in on Marvin Harrison Jr. this year, but I just can't do the lows anymore. I was looking at it. Kyler Murray had 6 top 10 quarterback finishes with 20, 30 points, right? But he had 5 that were 10, 11 points or less, some of them 4 points a week. I just can't deal with that anymore. And then the other 6, he had mid-range, 14, 17. If I'm going to draft a quarterback, I think I need more consistency, Kendall. I really do. And also, I know Daniel Jones only played 10 weeks, but he had just as many low-end games as Kyler Murray. And that is where I just nail the coffin. I'm done. Sorry, Kyler.
Yeah, that's It's fair. I think a lot of
Giving
people
it
are
up.
giving up. I think a lot of people, and I don't even think it's going to be difficult for them either. Sometimes you give up things for Lent, where it's supposed to be difficult. You're supposed to go through the days and be like, okay, mentally I have to be tough here. But I feel like for Kyler Murray, people are just going to give him up and just say, yeah, this feels totally right. Because, and here's the other thing is that I still think no matter what, though, he's going to be drafted as a top 12 quarterback just because of the rushing upside. And yes, I might be one of those people, but it's just that thing that just keeps him around, especially for fantasy football. When you look at what he's able to do on the ground, and then maybe you tell yourself, okay, Trey McBride is going to fall into the end zone a couple more times. There's going to be positive touchdown regression there, and his connection, hopefully, with Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be a lot better. And then maybe they add another wide receiver. I know Thor Nystrom has new mock drafts live at fantasylife.com that everyone can go and check out. But his older one, not the recent one, but he was getting these good wide receivers over to the Arizona Cardinals. So I'm not giving Kyler Murray up for Lent, but I understand. It does hurt, though. Okay.
But look, again, to be clear, I am not giving up Marvin Harrison Jr. I'm excited for him, but
Okay.
Kyler,
all right.
I just can't do it. Can't do it.
I know. All right. Let me, these, I went a little spicy with my giving up for Lent, which these ones might be difficult. Like I might sneak a few Deebo Samuel shares in there every now and then, because it is exciting. Deebo Samuel going to the Washington Commanders. That was a trade that I think some people had him as that's the best landing spot for fantasy football. It makes me excited for Jaden Daniels and just wanting a piece of this kind of offense. You've got Terry McLaurin there. Now you've got Deebo, and we'll see how they fill out the rest of the roster. But for me, I don't know. I might give up Deebo a little bit next year. I was in on him a lot in 2024, and everyone can remember how that went. It was actually awful, and it made me sad, and it made me cry. And Deebo Samuel in 2024 was someone that you actually had to sit down and think, do I start him this week? Is this really what's going to happen? So I'm back and forth on this one, and I do reserve the right to change this opinion later. But for right now, I want to see where he lands in fantasy drafts going into May, June, July. If he gets really expensive, he's another year older. I know that he's already said he's going to come in, and it's going to be the best shape of his life. I love getting those quotes, especially when it's March and we're getting those early March. It's phenomenal. But to me, I want to see right now, I want to wait, and I want to see how he looks coming into training camp, how all of his rehab is going. And I will give him, benefit of the doubt, Amanda, because I feel like people forget that he had pneumonia for a few games last year, and there was just a lot that went wrong. But for right now, I'm giving up Deebo Samuel until we see how he comes into training camp and how he kind of looks with that offense.
And you know what? You bring up a good point, because I think that's the same reason why I'm giving up Kyler Murray. Is there were so many weeks where I'm like, am I going to start him? And the times where I would, where the matchup seemed good, he didn't perform. And then I'd sit him the next week and he'd go off for 28 points, right? And so there's this bitter little toxicity in there of like, I just want someone that I know I can lock into my starting lineup and just forget about it, right? So I do understand. However, I'm so excited for Washington this year. That was the team that I was hoping went a little further. I know some people thought, they had some lucky wins at the end there, and maybe they went further than they should have. I cannot wait to see that whole offense come back again. So I'm not going to give up Deebo. I'm not, but I do understand why you do. All right. Let's move on to a different position here. We all know that tight end, right, is one of those that it's already kind of, what are you going to do? There's like 3 guys that are going to probably make your team, and the rest, it's just week to week, right? But I have to give up Travis Kelce for Lent. I really do. And look, it's not just because he may or may not have, like, he was not sure if he wanted to come back. But I was reading an article by Denny Carter, one of my good friends, Denny Carter, and he was saying, I just can't get past this. Okay, Kendall. So last season, Kelce went for 97 catches, 823 yards, 3 touchdowns. All right. But it was his lowest career stat for receiving yards. It was his lowest career stat for touchdowns. But that's not it. It was also his lowest career stat for yards per catch at 8.5. And that's not it. It was also his lowest career stat for yards per route run. And that's not it. It was also his lowest career stat of yards after the catch per reception. So I'm like, okay, this can't just be an outlier season for all of these numbers to be falling and it being the worst of his career. And also, I just have in the back of my head too that I'm all in on Xavier Worthy. And I feel like if I'm going to manifest that into the wide receiver one that I need it to be in 2025, I've also got to give up Travis Kelce. I can't root for both, right?
Yeah. I love this call out here. And I am someone that's gone back and forth. I believed coming into it, and I remember writing this newsletter with Adam Ronis, but I was someone that believed that Travis Kelce was coming back. And I said, no, he's going to have a bad taste in his mouth. He's going to come back, and maybe that means we draft him. Listen, at his current price, I think he's going as tight end 7. Amanda, don't do this. If you're listening to this, you cannot do that. That's for the big board contest over on Underdog. So I know that drafting, depending on where you draft between, ESPN, Yahoo, when they get going, it's going to be a lot different. Tight end 7, look yourself in the mirror and say no. Just tell yourself no. Say you're giving him up for Lent. Now, I will say, if he gets cheap in some of my drafts, I don't know if I can, if he comes around like round 10, Amanda, would you take him at round 10? I might have to.
Maybe so if it gets low enough, but I'm saying I'm giving him up, so I'm going to stick to my guns here. But at the same time, like, will he maybe get 4 touchdowns? Maybe,
yeah.
Right? That's better. But everything being the lowest career stat in 2024, it just scares me off. And again, Xavier Worthy to the moon, so I'm giving up Travis Kelce.
I love it. That's a really good one. I think a lot of people probably should and are giving up. But there's going to be people in the back like, it's going to be me. He's so cheap though. Look at him right here. I might take him. So that's all I'm going to say. All right. This next one, super spicy. Again, it's one where I reserve the right to come back to this and say, just kidding. I cannot give up Ladd McConkey for Lent. But for right now, I want to see what other wide receiver they bring into town, because they are linked to every free agent wide receiver right now, and as they should be, because Ladd McConkey had a phenomenal rookie season, and he was able to finish with 124 targets, 91 receptions, a little over 1,300 yards, 8 touchdowns. Like, it was so good for Ladd McConkey, and I understand why he's expensive right now, because he is the alpha wide receiver 1 for the Chargers. And honestly, shout out to the Chargers, because hand up, last season I was fading every single part of their offense. I didn't want their running backs. I didn't really want to get into their receivers. And I just thought they were maybe a year or two away from kind of being that contending team. And they exceeded all expectations. And I think they're way ahead of schedule. So I'm giving him up for now, just at his price, because I want to wait and see who they bring in. And there could be 2 parts to this, Amanda. You could bring in Davante Adams, and a lot of people could say, well, that could actually open things up more for Ladd McConkey.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Ladd McConkey could now be the guy in town. He's not going to get that double coverage. Everything's going to be great for him, but I just want to wait to see who they bring in and what that offense is going to look like. But I can't fully go into 2025 fading the Chargers, because I did that last season, and at least for Ladd McConkey, it wasn't good. But I do just want to wait the appropriate amount of days for Lent and make sure that they don't sign someone that does freak me out a little bit. That's all I have to say.
Okay. I like it. I again, we're on different pages here, but I think I kind of like that we're different. I'm never going to give up Ladd McConkey. You can't make me give him up for Lent. And even if DK ends up there, I'm still all in on Ladd McConkey. Maybe it'll scare people into having his ADP drop. But I have to throw another one at you real quick. And I know we've talked about it, so I feel like I don't even really have to defend it, but I'm giving up Aaron Rodgers for Lent, Kendall. Can we agree? This is the one that we're going to agree on, right?
Yes. Oh, 1,000. We've been giving up Aaron Rodgers for Lent. It's not even this year. I think it's just like whatever extended, like you have to, or you can't. No, you're not drafting Aaron Rodgers in 2025.
Perfect landing spot. I know he had a, almost 4K season. I'm done. I've been done. Like you said, maybe 3 years now. Gave him up. Never going back.
That's so funny. Oh, if we're doing random ones, I'll do Kyle Pitts. I'm giving up Kyle Pitts for the rest of my life. What are we talking about? I'm sorry, Kyle. It is you. It is not us. Unless he lands somewhere else, then I can see people being like, oh, he's with the Bengals now, though. What do you mean? And then it's just like, no, stop. We have to give Kyle Pitts up for the rest of our lives. It can't just be for Lent. It has to be for the rest of our lives. It's fine. All right. We're going into overtime. And Amanda,
I'm not
ready. I have to sit back and just say, for everyone listening, we're doing bad movie descriptions again. It's part 2. Bad movie descriptions, part 2. The Reckoning, because we were giving our producer, Matt Swing, a ton of crap last week because, in my opinion, those were really bad descriptions, and there was no way you were going to win that. And we went back and forth on this because then a lot of people said, well, I got all of them. And it's like, okay,
Oh no.
cool. Good for you. Yeah. I know. I saw those. I
Yikes.
was just like, okay, good for you. So we're doing bad movie descriptions part 2
Okay.
to try and redeem ourselves here and see if we can do a little bit better. So here we go. Again, if you didn't hear it last week, I'm going to give Amanda a bad movie description. She's going to try and guess the movie. Still sports movies, I guess I should say. Still kind of sports adjacent. So here we go. A world-renowned athlete teams up with international spies to save his best friend from a bioterrorist. Oh my gosh, Swing. This is so...
See, and he throws me off with all of these off the wall. Like I'm thinking like someone from another, would you say another country?
I can't say a world-renowned athlete teams up with international spies to save his best friend from a bioterrorist.
See, and now spies, I'm done. Immediately, I was like Talladega Nights because there's that guy from France, I think, but then he wasn't a spy. Yeah. So no, I'm out. I'm out on this.
You're gonna be so mad. Are you ready?
Yeah, spies.
It's Cars 2.
Oh, he did it again. He did it again, chat. Oh my God. We were in Fantasy Life Slack channel after the show last week. Everyone saying, is Cars a sports movie? I think it wasn't, but plenty of people think it was, and Wikipedia
I didn't think
agrees.
it was either. Yeah. So I guess we were wrong. So, okay. So let's try another one here. All right. After a major injury sets this athlete back, they get motivated to make a comeback after watching YouTube hype videos.
Okay, so it's a player who was injured. We don't know what
major
sport.
Injury.
He's not specifying the sport.
No.
And watching YouTube. So if it's YouTube, this is not an old show. This is very recent. If it's YouTube, like we're not going back to Little Giants days. You know what I mean? There was no YouTube around then. I'm so bad at this. Next time, he's
setting you up for failure.
Okay,
I will say, do you want? Amanda, you don't walk off the set right now. It's
okay,
Cars 3. Cars 3.
I didn't even know they made 3. I've never seen the first one, much less all 3, Matt. Okay, producer Matt.
Oh my gosh.
Let me see. Do they have 4 Cars movies?
Do now they? You might want to. Now you might want to look. While you're doing that, I'll give you the next one here. This is not a sports movie. And I will stick by that, and I'm going to help you out. This is not a sports movie whatsoever. A man enlists the help of a pack of surfer bros to travel across the world to help him find something he's lost.
Moana.
Oh, that's a good guess. Okay, no, but you're kind of in the right category.
Is it that Disney movie with the dude that surfed, that young kid that surfed? There was a Disney movie.
Think not a person. Think not a person.
Something that's surfing that's not a person. So it's not cars on water.
It's Disney adjacent. You're right there.
Oh, I don't know. Moana is the only thing I can think.
It's not. It's Finding Nemo. It's Finding Nemo.
Okay, but yeah, not sports movie.
That's not a sports movie. Oh, Swing.
But I do have to say,
is so fun.
Our producer Matt is going to be very excited. When I typed in Cars 4, it says Cars 4 may finally happen in 2025. Wow. So this may be a year for new Cars, Matt. We might
when it comes out, we'll do another movie description. It's fine. I've got one more for you.
Okay, one more for me to miss. Let's do it.
A stud athlete gets stranded in a rural village and is forced to do manual labor so he can leave.
I feel like I must not watch movies the right way because I feel like Matt's not giving me the meat of the movie. You know what I mean? Give me the meat of the movie. Part. He's stranded.
He's trying to bamboozle you. He's trying to set you up to not succeed because this is Cars, the first one. This is Cars, the first one again.
Oh my God, Matt. Okay. And I'm actually thinking here, I'm like a person that got hurt, injured, and I keep thinking human. And none were human.
He set you up for failure. So he wanted to be fun and do Cars 2, 3, 1, and then Nemo to throw you off.
Incredible. I feel like I have to watch Cars now just to understand all of these.
Oh, you haven't seen it?
References.
It's really good, actually.
Like I have to do it now so I can understand and maybe see if Matt was right all along, you know?
The first one, I have not seen 2, 3, or now 4 or whatever it is, but it is, Cars is a good movie. So there you go. Thank you so much, Matt. Next time you have to give me the bad descriptions. That's how we have to flip this. And we have to try and get our mojo back, but that's totally fine there. So, oh my gosh, so fun. I can't believe we're already done with this, but it's just been such a fun time. If anyone wants 120 beads, I will ship them to your house. Please let me know. And I don't know, Amanda, it was so fun. We'll get to do this again.
It was great. I know. Next time,
amazing.
no cars. No cars.
No cars. No, we're not talking about cars ever again on this show. And we're not, honestly, I think bad movie descriptions, someone else has to write them because we just have to succeed for that. But as always, appreciate everyone hanging out with us today. FantasyLife.com, that's where you can go sign up for our newsletter, 100% free, and all of our articles. If you need to know anything for the offseason, if you want to get ready for that NFL draft that's coming up, we've got everything you need to know at FantasyLife.com. So make sure you check that out over there. Go give us a follow all across all our social platforms, and we'll see you next time.